Good morning, how are you today? I thought I'd jump on and do another self-mastery toolbox talk because I've been thinking quite a lot this morning about bigger picture type things, I guess you would say, and using my imagination, and that helped me to realise that perhaps some people don't know how to actually use their imagination, and it's something that I take for granted because I got taught how to do it as a little kid. That's how you play, you're in the land of your mind and nothing is real. So that's sort of what it feels like for me at the moment. And I thought I'd do this outside, in amongst all the plants that I tend to hang out with the most and next to the water that I get in every morning. And I've got little notes to keep me on track. So let's see how we go. So self-mastery toolbox talk number 2. And it's all about imagination and how to actually engage that part of your mind so that you are able to do your journaling. So I talked about journaling in the first one, in a way that can remove you from it. And so it's not just you writing what's happened that day or what you need to do or any of those sort of things, right? This is like a short circuit version, if you like, because when I first started to do journaling and for the purpose of unpacking my mind and advancing myself, getting myself to where I wanted to go, it was very practical and very logical, and it would always be this is what I'm doing, this is where I want to go, this is my ideal day, this is my ideal life, this is what it looks like, this is who's there. Now I do still do that, and I strongly engage others in doing that. However, I realised that I had forgotten how to use my imagination. So I wanted to help others who may never have used it, and now is the perfect time. So the easiest way to do that is to ask yourself why or what if. So if you're sitting like I was this morning, for example, and you're seeing what is happening, and you just let your mind wander for a little. And today it was just imagine what it would look like if people stopped doing what they were told. And when I think of that, I get a smile, and I can almost see the anarchy that would result, the absolute chaos from people trying to control people who are no longer doing what they're told to do. So if you think about being a child and what it was like for you as a child, I can see a bee on a plant while I'm sitting here talking to you, which is really cool. So as a child, what was it like for you? Did you have free scope? Were you told what to do? Most of us, nearly all of us actually, were told what to do, especially my age or around that and older. You were living by a schedule, and I do see that a lot. So you were told what to do, when to eat, where to sleep, what to do when you got to school, and then you're told what to do here, what to do there. And earlier this year, I found myself in a position where I actually didn't know what to do. I was a complete foreigner in that environment, and just wasn't sure what to do next. So I had to observe and take notice of what everybody else was doing. And I found that quite difficult. Because ideally you should be able to just function without needing direction. So that's where your questioning needs to come in. The why, what if, what would that look like? And these are questions that you can write down, and then you can just sit there and take your time to answer them. So the best thing to do with that would be to allocate 25-30 minutes and sit there and write the question, and then just sit there and write what comes. My friend Fleur used to tell me about, what did she call it? Letters to God or something like that, or questions to God. and she would ask, she's not religious, but she would ask that question and then write what came. I've got another friend who told me about writing your question with your dominant hand and then writing your answer with your other hand, or you could look at it this way, that the right side of the body tends to be more masculine in terms of energy and the left side more feminine. So you could write your question with your right hand, irrespective of which hand you write with at the moment. So write your question with your right hand. So what would the world look like if people just stopped doing what they were told? And then write your answer or whatever thoughts come with your left hand. Because what you'll find is that you will be less likely to judge the answers that get written on the page if you are writing with that side of your body, because it's engaging the other side of your brain, left-right hemispheres. It's also teaching you how to jump between the two. So it's quite practical. The engagement of your imagination is actually quite practical. There's steps that you can follow to do it. However, the resultant outcome is not practical at all. So if we think about the question for today, which is around what would it look like, just ask yourself, what would it look like? And then if nothing comes, just ask why and write down what comes. And then if that doesn't make any sense, just keep asking yourself why or what if, and allow time for the answer to come. And write down any thoughts that pop into your head, or pictures. If you're someone who draws, draw the pictures. What else is there to tell you? Where does this sort of stuff come from? If you are looking for a book to listen to or to read, and maybe just have it playing, it's the 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. They're really good in terms of society's rules, okay? It talks about number 1, which is society's dream. There's 4 agreements for you to have with yourself, and one of them, when he starts the journey, it is around that whole society's rules. And I know that Vishen, the creator of Mindvalley, when I first started listening to a lot of Vishen's work and videos, he was talking about rules, which are bullshit rules. And he was one of the first people that I heard talk about being unfuckwithable, which is what you were before all the things happened to fuck you up. And I feel that engaging your mind and imagination will really help with that. So your imagination is also tucked in behind your occipital lobe. I remember doing a video on this, but it may not be one that I shared publicly. So in order for us to have clear sight and to be able to imagine, be able to create, we need to engage an area of our brain which actually sits in behind the section that we use our eyes with. So that's your occipital lobe, right? It's in here. And the section you need is just in behind it. And you will find recordings that will talk about decalcifying your pineal gland. It's interesting to go down that rabbit warren about what actually clogs up your pineal gland, and for many of us that was fluoride. The little pink, I remember being given the little pink tablets in the circle at school and being told to eat them. They tasted like chalk and they were revolting, so I didn't. And you get in trouble if you didn't. Now that was sold to us on the basis that you need fluoride to keep your teeth strong. My teeth are broken anyway. And I brush my teeth. I used to brush my teeth with toothpaste that had fluoride in it. There's all this different stuff, and I don't feel that the people who create these things have that agenda in mind. However, there is something that drives all of us to do things, right? and sometimes you're not in control of that. So engaging your imagination, beginning to question, looking at different ways of doing things will just really help you to get on top of your own thoughts and concepts, and to gain that side of self-control that perhaps you're looking for. Because when you can control yourself, nobody else can control you. And people in positions of what appear to be authority don't like that. And it's quite interesting being someone who has always asked why and always sought an answer to satisfy my own internal questioning. And if the answer didn't satisfy, then I was often in a corridor in a school, think of it that way. Because there's for me anyway, I don't know if other people have this, but there is this continuous mind noise, right? There's continuous thoughts, continuous thought bubbles that pop into your head, and sometimes it ceases, and quite often it doesn't. Like learning meditation and thinking that you have to have a calm mind, a still mind, it was never going to work for me. But then understanding that that's not the goal. The goal is to observe the thoughts, to observe the thought bubbles that pop in. And then because you're paying attention to them, they appear to come less. And that's another thing actually, which is part of this toolbox talk. If you have thoughts or feelings arise, like for me, anxiety is something, right? People are all good with telling you. Anxiety is thinking about the future that may never happen, and worry is thinking about the past, which has already gone. They don't actually tell you how to function with it because perhaps they've not lived with it, I don't know, or maybe they're just missing that simplicity side of things. But with anxiety, so the other day that happened to me, and it was triggered by an email, and I don't even know why, because the email really doesn't mean that much. So anyway, the email triggered the anxiety that came, I could feel it, made me feel shit, made me tired. I was writing all this stuff down, and then I was like, where did that come from? Where have I felt that feeling before? What has this got to do with what's happening around me? Do I need this anymore? So a lot of things for me were developed as a self-protection mechanism, to remain hypervigilant, to be aware of my environment so that I could look after myself and those that I was with. And I don't have to have that anymore. That's like an old story. So you sort of got to unpack that sort of stuff too. But anyway, enjoy engaging your imagination. If you want to use that thought that I had this morning around what would it be like if people just stopped doing what they were told to do. So where are we? What date is it? It's November 2021, 29th of November 2021, and it's a Monday. And how many people woke up this morning not wanting to go and do what they had to do? How many people spent yesterday thinking how they'd love to stay at home just one day longer? How many people don't even look at the fact that they're paid X amount of dollars for the end of that working week, but their life's been drained from them? So some people are actually in positions or careers or jobs that they truly love. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are, when you're doing something that you don't want to do. The classic at the moment is around all the COVID stuff, with having to wear a mask and being told that you can and can't go to certain places unless you produce X, Y, Z, or that stuff. What if you just went, no, I'm not doing that? People don't know how to handle it when you say no. And for some people, their reaction is to try and control you, make you do what you're told. So for that, they bring in enforcement. But that's not going to change who you are. You have to go on a journey for yourself to work that shit out. And sometimes you're just going to be one of those people who doesn't want to do that because it doesn't feel right. So be a child for a change, you know. Be a 3-year-old who's been totally defiant and only doing what they want to do. Even that word defiance means that there's a rule, a bullshit rule created around that, right? Who are you being defiant to? By listening to somebody else, you're being defiant to yourself. And by listening to yourself, you're being defiant to that other person. It's really interesting. Anyway, have a fantastic day and enjoy your journaling. And I'll see you again soon.